Evolve Beyond Borders is proud to introduce Priyanka Mithra, Practice Director at Everest Group. Priyanka is an international speaker, advisor, and strategist. She has authored numerous industry reports on HR services and technology market. Let's welcome Priyanka as she shares her insights on enabling the future of work through employer of work.
Hello everyone, my name is Priyanka Mithra. I'm a practice director with Everest Group, where I lead our research in HR and talent. Thank you to Neeyamo for inviting me to speak in Evolve Beyond Borders. Today's topic is around employer of record and how solutions such as employer of record are enabling organizations to navigate the future of work. I'll start off with why I say future of work is already unfolding, then talk about what is an EOR and if the concept of an EOR is new. And lastly, what are the key trends organizations should be aware of as they look to adopt solutions such as EOR? I think it is indisputable to say that the pandemic has changed the way we work. It has disrupted our workplace and has changed the way organizations operate. Hybrid workforce has become mainstream. Every organization is grappling with multiple challenges around talent. Even with an economic uncertainty, organizations are operating in a constrained skill market while trying to ensure that they provide the best experience to a multi-generational workforce. Hire and retain the best talent while ensuring they meet their DE&I goals. So it is becoming very important for organizations to ensure that they have the right talent with the right skill present in the right role. As these organizations navigate these disruptions, the slowdown due to the pandemic, the immediate surge that followed, and now the looming uncertainty. This is actually paving way for organizations, and paving the way, forcing organizations to make their workforce much more agile, diverse, as well as globally distributed. If you see, this is the essence, or at least some of the few central themes defining the future of work. And hence, I say that you're already operating in the future of work. As organizations look to build this future-ready workforce, which is globally distributed, amongst so many uncertainties, solutions such as employer of record are providing a way for organizations to go global as well as safely test new markets. These could be not only to expand their business operations, but also to allow them to source talent from a much bigger talent pool, essentially leveling the playing field for many organizations, which may not have been possible before. So, we are talking about employer of record, but what exactly is employer of record? Employer of record, or EOR, is a third-party organization that undertakes the responsibility to pay an employee, be it temporary or permanent, on behalf of another company. Given this, the organization can now safely test new markets without setting up their own legal entity. EORs also take care of many administrative tasks such as onboarding, paying, managing an employee on the organization's behalf during the entire length of the tenure, while also ensuring compliance and offboarding when needed. In the next few slides, we will talk in detail about the different processes an EOR can help with. But the question that I often get is the concept new? The answer is no. The concept of EOR has existed for quite a few decades. I personally view this market as an extension as well as an evolution of the markets like staffing, which is pretty traditional, and professional employer organization, which is a very popular method in the US. The concept of EOR is much more global. And given an EOR in essence is the employer of record, they are also the ones solely responsible for the compliance with locally enabled laws. As this market started early on, the globalization was the key driver, making sure that globalization, entering new markets happen in a cost-effective manner. The pandemic brought in several other use cases to be the driver for EOR. And this has resulted in a key shift in terms of what is happening in the market, the kind of offerings that are provided by the providers in this market. If we look at the kind of solutions that were present before the pandemic, these were primarily services-led. But today, we see a more blended solution where services plus technology is coming together to provide an experience-led solution to different stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I mean stakeholders of all kinds, be it the employee or the associate, or the HR leader, the finance leader, and even rolling up to the CXOs. This experience is being brought by the concept of self-service, analytics, providing the right information to the right set of people, dashboarding, as well as injecting intelligence in the core platform, as well as the support that is provided to the different stakeholders. Now, the shift in solutioning, as I mentioned, is not only brought in by the pandemic, but also because the drivers for adopting EOR as a solution is evolving. Now, let's look at how the drivers have evolved. Now, I have positioned this as traditional drivers and new generation drivers. The traditional drivers for EOR used to be around going global, as I mentioned already, and going global in a cost-effective and compliant fashion, while ensuring comparatively low risks. But today, while these traditional drivers continue to remain, many new drivers have also come in to drive adoption of these services. There is a need to manage a workforce which is much more distributed. With the Gen Z coming into the workforce, organizations need to be ready to ensure that they are able to provide the flexibility the talent will need, be it flexibility in terms of location, be it flexibility in terms of how they want to get paid, or flexibility in terms of how they want to operate, be it around permanent or contingent. As organizations themselves become more distributed and hybrid, it is becoming more difficult for them to manage the heightening regulatory complexity. There is also a need to move quicker. Everybody is moving quicker. We are talking about agile, so it's also important for organizations to make these business decisions quicker, become more agile to capture opportunities. And lastly, of course, to build a global workforce which is actually diverse, not only in terms of different races, but also in terms of nationalities and different backgrounds, and source talent from a much bigger talent pool. Given the drivers are changing, we are also witnessing an expansion in the capabilities as provided by EOR providers. I mentioned earlier how the market has changed from a service-led to a combination of service and technology. But we are also seeing an extension in capability in terms of the services themselves that are being provided by an employer of record to meet the changing demands of the organizations who want to adopt this solution. As I mentioned earlier, one expansion in capability is definitely around the injection of technology, how services and technology are coming together. The other has been around expansion in the service capability, in the kind of services EORs provide themselves to meet the changing demands of the buyer organization. The fourth processes provided by the EOR providers revolves primarily around administrative support across the associate or the employee lifecycle. This spans onboarding, payroll, time and attendance, expense, as well as mobility. They also bring a plethora of benefits and the administration of these benefits, making sure that organizations are compliant in terms of the benefits that they are supposed to provide, but also bringing in the right experience in terms of benefits. This all goes hand in hand with EOR ensuring that there is compliance with local laws and regulations. But we are seeing more value-added services also being brought on by some service providers. One area is around helping source talent. Not the entire recruitment process, but organizations are seeking help from their EOR partners to find geographies in which they can get the right skill, in which they can get the right skill at the right price, and also leaning on these providers for background verification services, for all the other administrative services that can happen in a recruitment process beyond sourcing and screening. The line between different types of talents is thinning. So many more organizations are looking to engage with contractors, gig workers, and again, they are looking at their EOR partners and payroll providers to help them with the management of this talent. Lastly, we are seeing all these services to be wrapped inside an advisory layer, where EOR providers are not only helping their clients stay compliant, but bringing in expertise to help elevate the employee experience, as well as ensure that they are providing the right or following the right talent management practices. Many EOR providers are investing in acquired legal and talent management expertise. All these are also wrapped in an advisory layer, where EOR providers are helping their clients not only stay compliant, but also bringing in expertise in legal as well as talent management practices to help them ensure that they can provide the best associate experience. And this is extending not only when an organization is operating under an EOR, an employer of record, but also helping them establish their own entities. So as we have seen, and as we see in this next slide, we are seeing that EOR providers today are not only supporting organizations with that first step of going global and expanding their business, but also stepping in to provide the full entity life cycle, and hence investing in capabilities such as payroll and broader HR activities to manage or to help their organizations manage that transition. And if you look at any organization, benefits and payroll administration are the central processes in which most would require extensive help in, at least until they meet that critical mass in terms of employee population. So what we are seeing is that there is an extension in capability in terms of services, and most EOR providers want to help their clients across the entity lifecycle. Let me conclude this session by providing you with some statistics. We spoke about employer of record, if the concept is new. We also spoke about how the pandemic has driven adoption. But let me also provide you some statistics about the benefits that the buyers themselves who have adopted EOR as a solution have quoted. As you can see on the screen, 3/4 of the buyers that we interviewed stated that they're highly satisfied when talking about their EOR providers. And they have stated that they have met all the objectives that they had before they adopted EOR. And when I say highly satisfied, it means they have scored a 9 or above on a scale of 10. The top benefit, as quoted by buyers, has been around compliance. I remember one buyer I was interviewing mentioned the peace of mind he felt in terms of risk mitigation. Cost reduction, of course, follows very closely. And as the economic uncertainty plays out, I anticipate the use case around finding talent in other locations will become more important and may even move higher in the list. The last benefit has been around managing associate administrative tasks and ensuring a good and seamless experience during onboarding. So the benefits kind of speak for themselves. The EOR market right now is witnessing a huge acceleration in terms of adoption, and we anticipate as the future of work continues to unravel, this will continue to see higher and higher adoption. So that is all I had for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact details are at the beginning of this deck. And thank you so much to Neeyamo for inviting me to speak. Thank you.